Today, I want to give you 4 very important thoughts about trust. First, let's talk about what trust is. How do you build trust, right? Trust is doing what you say you're going to do. Trust is doing what's expected of you. Even nonverbal expectations, if you live up to those, you are building trust. Trust is such a fragile entity in relationships. So as you're growing up, as you're going through early adulthood and becoming an adult, trust is huge. Let your word be your word. Stand by your word and let your actions back up what you say. That's how you build trust and character. So in your relationships, especially when you find your significant other, when you find who you're going to be engaged to, who you're going to spend the rest of your life with, when you're going to get married, trust is monstrous. It is the glue that holds marriages together. Trust. So make sure that you are building that. Today, I'm going to give you 4 thoughts about trust. Number 1, I want you to look at trust like a bank account. Just like you make deposits and withdrawals on a bank account, and you always have a certain amount, your balance, right? That is your bank account and money. When you put money in, you take money out. You need to make sure you always have money in the bank, or you can't take money out of the bank. Trust is the same way. You have a trust account, if you will, in your life where you're making deposits. The way you make deposits into your trust account is doing what you say you're going to do, to live up to the nonverbal expectations from other people so that they can trust you, just being a man or a woman of your word. That's how you make deposits. The more deposits you make, the more trust you build up and the more responsibilities that they're going to give you. The more that they trust you in the relationship, then that's going to just make that bond even closer together. So look at trust as a bank account. You're making withdrawals and you're making deposits. A withdrawal on a trust account is simply asking to be able to do something. So if you're a husband and you say, you know what, I want to hang out with my friends tonight. Is that cool? Yeah, go ahead. You hang out with your friends. That's fine because I'm going to be doing so-and-so. That's okay because you have a trust account built up. She or he trusts you when you go out with your friends to do the right thing, to be responsible, to get home in an expected time, to not do anything stupid while you're out. So you can make those withdrawals. If you don't have a strong trust account, if you don't have a deep balance in your trust account, guess what? When you try to make a withdrawal, it's going to be tough. The banker, your spouse, your significant other, is going to flinch a little bit because you don't have enough in that trust account. So spend your time in your relationships building trust, making those deposits so that withdrawals and deposits can balance each other out and you're fine. That is so huge to be able to look at trust as a bank account and treat it that way. Number 2, know this: if you ever lose trust, if you do something wrong, if you don't do what you're expected to do, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, and you lose that trust, you break that trust, it is tough to rebuild. So don't do it. Don't make that mistake where you are not living up to your word. If you don't think you can live up to your word, don't say it. Don't say you're going to do something if you can't live up to it. That trust, when it's broken, is so hard to rebuild. Whereas before, you might make one deposit and have that bank account go up pretty good. When you have broken trust, you've got to make 10 deposits for every one that you did before that trust was broken. So be sure you don't ever break that trust. And if you do, know that you're going to have a tough road to go through to be able to climb back up and build that account back to a normal status. So understand and treat it this way, that trust is so fragile. Don't let it get broken because it is so hard to build back. Number 3, don't do this. Don't joke around with trust. Don't make jokes. That is such a an area that's so sensitive and so fragile. You don't joke around. So when you're in a relationship, don't kid and say, oh, I was out drinking, or oh, I came in late because of so and so, and it's a joke, and you think that's funny when you really weren't doing that, but you're just joking around. Don't do it, because even if it's not true, even if you went to church and you came back and you said you went to the club and you were dancing with another girl, ha ha, it was a joke, I really went to church. That's not funny, because when you do that, it chips away at the trust factor that you've got, that trust account that you have built up. Even jokes about doing the wrong thing can hurt it. So never, ever, ever joke about trust or about that relationship, especially about infidelity. Never, ever, ever go into that area, because it's so tough. There's women, there's men who, when that trust is broken down, when they get wronged, maybe from a previous relationship, that damage can last for years and years or a lifetime, because they're so hurt by that. Their heart becomes so fragile, it's been broken because they laid their heart out there for this person and they broke that trust. So don't ever joke about that. It's such a sensitive subject, and you can have stress dreams about that. So when somebody doesn't trust you, or they've got that fragile line where they don't know whether they can or can't, they will have stress dreams about that. And that's not fun. When you dream about somebody having an affair or being with somebody else, when you wake up, guess what? You don't like that person. You might be laying beside him, or if you're just dating, you might, next time you see him, you've got that weird feeling because you dreamed that. That just shows you how fragile trust is in a relationship, that you can even dream something happen and it affects your relationship. So don't joke around with it. Understand and appreciate how fragile trust is. And the last one, make sure that you trust but verify. If somebody hasn't given you a reason to not trust them, go ahead and trust them, but within reason. So when you're starting that relationship and you're both making deposits into your trust account, you're going to have kind of a short leash. You're watching, you're trusting them, but you're kind of checking up and you're verifying and making sure, not that you're going to be a weirdo and stalk wherever they're going, but you want to keep tabs on what's happening until they can build that trust account up. So if you're the recipient of that, if you're trying to win trust from somebody else and they're trusting you, but they're kind of checking up on you at the same time, that's because there's not a good understanding of where your trust account balance is. Appreciate that. Understand that. But when you do the right thing over and over and over, and you're living up to your word, and you know you built that trust account up, but they still have a short leash on you, something's wrong in their account. They need to figure that out, and you guys need to work through that together to understand that, hey, I'm not the guy you used to date, or I'm not the girl that you used to date. I'm not going to do that. So you need to understand and lengthen my leash a little bit so that you understand I do have a trust account built up, and I always do what I say I'm going to do. And if I make a mistake, I'll own up to that mistake. That's another huge factor in winning trust, is owning up to your mistakes. So those are 4 big things in building a trust relationship with your partner. Just understand its fragility. Treat it like a bank account and be making way more deposits into that account than you do withdrawals. Have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys coming by my channel and watching some of these videos. If you like what you see, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you tell your friends about it, and we'll see you next time.